little chili to do what I wanted to do.
Works pretty good.
Step back, let me see. There you go.
We'll go over there, down, in we go.
Welcome to the beginning of our exploration underground.
I took the ore, the smaller ore, and put it in the bucket, but not all of it fits in the mill. So we have to manually break a bunch of it. I don't have a jaw crusher. If anybody wants to donate one, I would love a jaw crusher. But we do it the old-fashioned way. We do it by hand. So I'm going to start with this piece here. And what we do is I have a maul here and I place it on there and hit it with a 5-pound sledge. Now the reason we don't put it on the concrete is all the force you hit it with it'll transfer into the concrete and it will break the heck out of your concrete. So it's really important to have something to put it on. For some reason the energy breaking it doesn't mess up the concrete as long as we've got it on something else. So we're going to bust some of this up. And being an andesite, it's extremely hard to break. Andesite's about an 8 on the 1 to 10 scale. Take up little pieces, put them in the bucket, and continue on. Now you can see the veins in there, and that's what we're after, is busting that ore loose. And it takes some good hits to make the pieces small enough to where they'll fit in the hammer crusher. Now it's pretty well exposed, and the next step after we fill up the bucket with all this ore is we're going to place them in the hammer crusher, and we'll run them out from there, and I'll show you the next step as the ore continues to be processed. Come get a close look at this. Let them see what we're busting into. How thick that vein was, and the other veins that are flowing through. That's going to have a whole bunch in it. You can see the dark from the irons and stuff in it. That's going to have good little chunks of gold in it. And they break easy like that because it's full of quartz, and it's the quartz shattering, not the andesite. See, that's all andesite is. You want to break. That's some hard rock. spots. That is yummy rocks. Okay, so there we are. We crushed it all up. Made small rocks out of it, 2 or 3 inches. 2 big buckets, 1 small bucket. We weighed it up. It's 149.8 pounds, so we're going to call it 150. And the next thing that we'll do is we'll uncover the mill and take and run it down to minus 100. Run it down the sluice that vibrates at a real low angle and low amount of water. We'll gravity separate it all out and then pan it and see what kind of gold we got. Okay, we're getting stuff set up to run. Filling up a bucket so we can do some panning. There's Radar helping out. And we've got the plant set up. It's ready to crush some rocks. Got the water running down the sluice with the vibrator on it into a pan so that we can empty out our tailings. And the next step is grabbing the buckets of rocks, and we're going to run about 150 pounds of ore. An important tip, make sure you put a little bit of jet dry in there. We're doing flour gold and it will float. So this keeps it from floating. It'll keep it low and give it the ability to get caught in the riffles. Well, I ran about a half a bucket of ore, and we're going to go ahead and clean up for the day. The reason is my screen has pretty much taken a dump. There's some maintenance issues that I need to take care of. So we're going to clean up the sluice, pan it out and see what we got. This is what happens to the screen when your holder breaks down. There's what's left of the piece that goes over it and holds it down. And there's what's left of the screen. The chain that they use for the hammers in here is supposed to be the hardest tempered chain that there is. And you can see the chain barely even took a hit. But I guess I broke one of the bolts here. This came up a little bit and it just completely ate it apart. So we're going to do a little bit of maintenance before we run the other 2 buckets. We'll have to put down a new screen holder and a new screen, and then we'll go ahead and process the rest of it out. So time to do a little bit of cleanup. We'll break this down and get the gold out of the mats, and we'll see what we got out of about half of a bucket. Okay, I panned most of this down just to a little bit here, and you can see it's mostly the andesite that's there. It's a very, very heavy and very hard rock. It's like a number 8 on the scale. So we're going to do a little tip back, and we'll see what we get. Just a little bit. This is just to see if there's anything in there. So we want to look, of course, at the pan line and look at all the color that's in there. So that's a pretty good little batch. Not bad for about a half a bucket. So it's probably, I don't know, half a gram, maybe a little bit more in there. So some pretty good sized gold that's in there. You can see it just kind of sticks to the pan. Everything else moves pretty easy. So that's a pretty good little bit. We're going to see if we can pick it out and get a little bit in a vial. I've got a vial necklace for Tanya, and we'll fill it up with a little bit more gold today. So that's a pretty good bit right there. Unfortunately, I didn't get to process all 150 pounds of what we had, but there's a little bit of what there is out of, oh, probably about 30 pounds of rocks. I'm guessing we probably got about a gram, maybe. So $50 for 30 pounds of rocks is amazing. You can go out and actually pick up rocks that people will buy. So that's not too bad of a little shot. So I'm going to go ahead and get that put into a vial, and we'll take a look at what it looks like.